Welcome back to Healthier Daily. You know, for many of us, the first thing we do in the morning is reach for a bottle of ibuprofen or some other painkiller. We just want to get our hands moving or our knees to stop aching so we can start our day.
It is a very common routine, Ben. But what most people don't realize is that those pills are just a temporary fix. They silence the pain for a few hours, but they don't do anything to actually help your joints get stronger or stay flexible.
And today we are going to talk about a different kind of medicine. We are looking at 5 specific nuts that you can find at any grocery store. These little powerhouses contain natural compounds that work a lot like those store-bought pills, but without the side effects on your stomach or liver.
That is the beauty of it. We are talking about fighting inflammation, which is just a fancy word for that heat swelling and redness that makes your arthritis flare up. When you eat the right nuts, you are giving your body the oil it needs to lubricate your hinges and protect your cartilage.
We are starting with a big one, walnuts. Now, Dr. Harrington, I see these in holiday bowls all the time, but you say they are actually like a cooling mist for our joints.
They really are. Walnuts are one of the best sources of plant-based omega-3 fats. Think of these fats like a cleanup crew. They travel through your system and help shut down the chemicals that cause your joints to swell.
So if someone feels that grinding or stiffness in their hips or knees, the walnuts are actually helping to smooth things over.
Exactly. They also have a lot of magnesium, which helps the muscles around your joints relax. Often, part of the pain we feel isn't just the joint, it is the tight muscles pulling on that joint. Walnuts help everything let go.
But there is a catch with how we store them, right? We shouldn't just leave them in a bowl on the counter for weeks.
That is a huge mistake. The healthy oils in walnuts are very delicate. If they sit out in the heat or light, they go rancid. If you eat a walnut that tastes bitter or smells like old paint, it can actually cause more inflammation. I always tell my patients to keep their walnuts in the refrigerator or even the freezer. It keeps the medicine fresh.
We just heard how walnuts can cool down that inflammation. Now let's move on to a nut almost everyone has in their pantry, almonds. Now, Dr. Harrington, I know almonds are great for the heart, but why are they being called a natural pain reliever for arthritis?
Almonds are a powerhouse of vitamin E, Ben. For folks in our age group, think of vitamin E like a protective shield. It surrounds your joint cells and stops free radicals, which you can imagine as tiny, sharp pieces of trash, from attacking and wearing down your cartilage.
So if that cartilage stays protected, we get less of that painful bone-on-bone feeling when we move.
Exactly. Almonds are also loaded with magnesium. When your magnesium levels are low, calcium can build up and actually harden the tissues around your joints, making movement very stiff and painful. The magnesium in almonds keeps everything balanced and flexible.
A lot of people complain about that morning stiffness where their hands or knees just don't want to work. Can almonds help with that?
They really can. People who get enough magnesium usually have much better mobility. It helps the muscles relax, which takes the pulling pressure off your achy joints.
How many should we be eating to see a difference? And what's the best way to have them?
About 20 to 25 pieces a day is the sweet spot. And here's a tip for our seniors. If you have a sensitive stomach, try soaking your almonds in water overnight. It makes them softer, easier to digest, and actually helps your body soak up that vitamin E and magnesium much better.
I see a lot of roasted and salted or honey-glazed almonds at the store. I'm guessing those aren't the best choice.
I'd skip those, Ben. Salt makes you hold on to water, which makes joint swelling worse. And sugar is like adding fuel to the fire of your pain. Stick with the raw plain almonds and keep the brown skin on. That skin is where the best antioxidants live. Here is part 3. The secret strength of pistachios. I am keeping it in warm, easy-to-understand American English. No more slips into Vietnamese.
Moving on to number 3. These are a favorite at parties, but most people don't realize they are actually doing a world of good for their knees. We are talking about pistachios. Now, Dr. Harrington, these little green nuts have a very specific secret weapon, don't they?
They sure do, Ben. It is called resveratrol. Now, you might have heard of that being red wine, but it is also tucked away in pistachios. This compound is like a safety guard for your cartilage. It helps prevent those cushions in your joints from thinning out as we get older.
So it's not just about stopping the pain for an hour, it's about actually keeping the joint from wearing down further.
Precisely. Resveratrol helps reduce the friction inside the joint. Think of it like a friction reducer for your hinges. When there's less friction, there's less heat and less swelling. Plus, pistachios are great for your circulation.
Why does circulation matter for a stiff knee or a sore wrist?
Because your joints don't have their own pump for blood. They rely on good circulation to bring in oxygen and the nutrients from the foods we eat to help with repair. Better blood flow means your body can clear out the junk that causes stiffness much faster.
And I love that green color. I've always heard that the more color in your food, the better.
You're spot on. That green and purple color comes from antioxidants that specifically target the messengers in your body that trigger joint swelling. By eating a handful of these, you're basically telling your body to calm down the inflammation.
Now I know these can be addictive. How many should we eat, and is there a best time for them?
An ounce, about 49 nuts, is a great daily serving. I like to suggest them as an afternoon snack. That's usually when we start to feel a bit tired and our joints start to stiffen up after a long day.
And I suppose we should be careful about the shells in the salt, right?
Yes, always look for the unsalted ones. And for our seniors who might have a bit of trouble with their hands buying them, already shelled can save you from the workout of opening them, though sometimes that little bit of hand movement is actually a good mini stretch for your fingers.
Now we are moving on to a nut that is a bit bigger than the others, and honestly, you don't need many of them to see a massive difference. We are talking about Brazil nuts. Dr. Harrington, I've heard researchers at places like Johns Hopkins are very excited about a specific mineral hidden inside these.
They really are, Ben. We are talking about selenium. Now, most people have never heard of it, but selenium is like the volume knob for inflammation in your body. When you don't have enough of it, your body's pain volume is turned way up.
So by eating these nuts, we are basically turning down the volume on that constant joint throbbing.
That is exactly what's happening. Selenium helps your body create special proteins that protect your cartilage cells from rusting away. It's also a big helper for your immune system, making sure it doesn't overreact and start attacking your own joint tissues, which is what happens with some types of arthritis.
And Brazil nuts also have those healthy fats we keep talking about, right?
Yes, they are very creamy because they are full of healthy fats that act like a natural cushion for your connective tissues. They help absorb shock when you walk. If your joints tend to crack or feel weak, the combination of selenium and healthy fats in Brazil nuts can be a real game changer.
Now, I've heard you have to be careful not to eat too many of these. Is that true?
It is. This is one of those cases where more is not better. Brazil nuts are so powerful that just 1 or 2 nuts a day is all you need to get your full dose of selenium. If you eat a whole bag of them, it can actually be too much for your system.
Wow, so just 1 or 2, that makes them very affordable and easy to add to a routine.
It really does. I tell my patients to just have one with their breakfast. Selenium works even better when you pair it with the vitamin C or E you might get from your morning fruit or those almonds we talked about.
And what about quality? Since they have so much oil, do they spoil fast?
They do. Just like walnuts, they can go bad if they sit in a warm pantry. You want them to look smooth and light brown. If they look shriveled or taste off, throw them out. Keep your small bag in the fridge, and 1 nut a day will keep that pain volume turned down low.
We've made it to number 5, and this one is a classic Southern favorite. We are talking about pecans. Now, Dr. Harrington, I usually think of these in a pie, but you're saying scientists are calling these nature's ibuprofen.
That's right, Ben. But we're skipping the pie and going straight to the nut. Pecans have a very special mix of healthy fats and something called manganese. If you want to keep your natural shock absorbers, which is your cartilage from wearing out, you need manganese.
So it's like the foundation for our joints. If we don't have enough of it, the cushion just starts to flatten out.
Exactly. When that cushion flattens, that's when you get that grinding feeling in your knees or your back. Pecans help your body actually build and maintain that cartilage. They also help lower a specific marker in your blood that tells us how much swelling is going on in your body.
I've noticed that when I eat too many processed snacks, my fingers feel tight the next day. Can pecans help reverse that?
They can. The fats in pecans help improve your blood flow. Think of it like flushing the pipes. When your blood is moving well, it carries away the waste that makes your joints feel stiff and brings in the repair nutrients. It's a complete maintenance kit for your joints.
How many pecans should we be looking at for a daily dose?
About 15 to 20 halves is perfect. I like to tell people to toss them into a bowl of yogurt or even over a salad. And if you want to give them a little anti-pain boost, you can lightly toast them with a tiny bit of cinnamon.
Cinnamon and pecans, or that sounds delicious. Does the cinnamon actually help the joints too?
It does. Cinnamon helps with circulation and keeps your blood sugar steady. When your blood sugar is steady, your body isn't as inflamed, which means your joints feel much cooler and more comfortable throughout the day.
But just like the others, we want to stay away from the ones coated in sugar or praline style, right?
Yes, please. We want the raw or lightly dry roasted ones. Sugar is like gasoline on the fire of arthritis. Stick to the plain ones, and you'll find that your mornings start to feel a lot less gritty and a lot more flexible.
We've gone through 5 incredible super nuts today, from the cooling omega-3s in walnuts to the volume controls selenium in Brazil nuts. But Dr. Harrington, for our friends at home, how do we make this all stick? We don't want them just eating a handful of nuts and hoping for the best.
You're right, Ben. Food is the fuel, but movement is the pump. To really get those nutrients into the joint where they can heal the cartilage, you need a little bit of gentle motion. I like to call it the oil the hinges routine.
I love that name. It sounds a lot less intimidating than exercise. What does oiling the hinges actually look like for someone in their 70s?
It's very simple. Just 10 minutes a day of slow circular movements. While you're sitting in your favorite chair, do some slow ankle rolls. Circle your wrists while you're watching the news. Gently roll your shoulders back.
And that actually helps the nuts work better.
It does. Your joints don't have their own blood supply, so they rely on a fluid called synovial fluid. Think of it like a sponge. When you move the joint, you squeeze the old waste out and soak the fresh nutrients from those nuts in. Without movement, the nutrients just sit in your bloodstream and never reach the rusty spot.
So the routine is eat your joint-friendly nuts in the morning and do your gentle circles in the afternoon or evening.
That is the perfect plan. Let's recap our pantry pharmacy one last time. Walnuts to cool the fire, almonds to shield the cells, pistachios to reduce the friction, Brazil nuts to turn down the pain volume, pecans to rebuild the cushion.
It really is about giving your body the right tools. You don't have to just live with the pain because of your age. Your joints are alive and they want to feel better.
That's exactly right, Ben. Start small. Pick one nut and one movement today. Within a few weeks, you might just find yourself standing up from that chair without that old groan or reaching for the top shelf without a second thought.
Dr. Harrington, thank you for these life-changing tips. And thank you to everyone at home for joining us. If you're ready to oil your hinges and get back to the activities you love, hit that like button and subscribe to Healthier Daily. We want to hear from you. Which of these nuts are you adding to your grocery list this week?
Stay active, eat well, and we'll see you in the next video to keep you moving, smooth and standing tall.